biggest questions I'm ever asked is how do I overcome nervousness during a public speech? This is actually something you'll never be able to completely overcome, but you can master the anxiety and the nervousness that pops up when you're about to give a speech. So today we're going to go over why public speaking causes apprehension and where this kind of comes from, how to use positive nervousness and ways to really exchange that negative energy and turn it into something positive and good for you, and ways to overcome anxiety in general and cope with nerves. It's just something that's going to be part of the speech process, so you should be aware of how to deal with it. So communication anxiety, this pops up for a lot of us. It's actually still the number one fear, usually in America, some other places as well too. But it is the number one fear that we are going to be giving a public speech, not knowing what to say, look, not so smart. And so it becomes a very anxious place for us. It is completely biological. It's related to the fear of the unknown, and it's what keeps you alive and keeps you from wandering into a bear cave to see if there might be a bear in there. It's also universal. This is something that's experienced among all people, all nations, all walks of life. Almost everyone reports having some level of anxiety if they have to give a speech. And it's physiological. It has physical symptoms that will kind of come out or leak if you are very, very nervous. You might notice this as a shortness of breath or as a tightening in your stomach, sometimes known as the butterflies, or sometimes in sweating or shaky voice. Those are things you can learn to master again and control, but you're going to experience if you have a lot of anxiety. There's also a psychological element to anxiety. We tend to think of it as something scary, and we tend to think of public speaking like this picture I have here, like a scary bear. And so I want to change how you see that into being something a little more friendly. So let's picture the bear as a teddy bear. It's the best we can do into changing this big, scary monster into something lovable and soft and that we might cuddle up with at night. So embrace the event. If you have to give a speech at work or you have to give a speech at school, you might as well just embrace it. That's just how it goes. So then just do your best with it. Instead of hemming and hawing and really griping about the process or not being positive about it, simply embrace it and move on. Send yourself affirming messages. These have a huge impact on how you think and feel about the event itself. So tell yourself you're going to do well. Tell yourself you have every skill and ability needed to perform the speech. Tell yourself that there's no reason that people wouldn't like the speech that you have to give. The more affirming and the more positive the message you can send yourself, the less the anxiety will take over. Use this to fuel your work as well. It's actually good to have some anxiety about a public speaking event. That helps us get our outline done, get our visual aid done, put together great resources, and really makes us think about the process instead of just getting up there and winging it. Also, visualize success. You need to see yourself doing well. Picture yourself in the front of the classroom, giving a great speech, getting a standing ovation, getting 100% on your speech score. The more that you let yourself visualize that, the more possible it seems, the more real it seems, and the more attainable it becomes to you. So ways to overcome anxiety in general is to expend energy. That's all anxiety really is pent up energy. So one thing that I recommend students do is maybe 15 to 20 minutes of their choice of cardio in a morning that they might have a speech presentation on later on in the day. So that way they've gotten some energy out of themselves. If you don't have a chance to do that, taking a 5 to 10 minute walk around a building or even inside of a building, if that's what you're limited to, can be a great way to get rid of some of that energy before you go into the speaking event. Deep breathing is always going to be something that helps you, so don't forget to breathe. We get nervous and our stomach tightens and we tend to take shorter breaths. So remind yourself if you need to breathe in deeply and practice deep breathing so that you get in the habit of how this feels. You should focus on your message. The more you tend to be anxious and nervous about what you're going to look like, how you're going to sound, how you're going to be received, those are all things that focus on you. So focus instead on the message, on the content, on what you want to share about your topic. Get excited about this opportunity to maybe change minds about this information. And then do a full dress rehearsal. This is going to then mean putting on the outfit you want to wear for the speech, putting together the visual aid and actually using the visual aid while you speak. Hopefully giving this to actual people and getting their feedback as you do it. So try to mimic the speech event as much as you can, and your dress rehearsal will help you overcome anxiety too. So in summary, your nerves are just part of the process. They're there to be expected. It's universal. It's not something we can get rid of, but it is something we can manage. Use this as extra fuel to get everything done you need to, and use it as a way to really kind of rocket fuel or rocket boost yourself through the process. There's a lot of things you need to think about in a speech, so this helps you make sure you're thinking about them. And then find ways to be creative and positive. This is an excellent resource or an excellent opportunity for you to showcase your creativity, showcase some sense of humor if it's appropriate, showcase some element of yourself in this speech. So for some additional resources, if you're not done learning about this topic yet from this tiny little video, you can also measure your own level of speaking anxiety. I've included the link to that self-quiz in my description box. You can also see a TED Talk from Amy Cuddy. She will explain the element of power posing and what she has found out in her research about what we can do in just 2 minutes that will make a big difference in how you feel when you deliver a speech. Also, there's a ton of tricks and tips for overcoming anxiety. The third link is just one article that I think really sums up things well. And finally, there is good advice from a doctor at the Mayo Clinic. This definitely validates how real this element is and what a big aspect of public speaking that nervousness and anxiety can take on. So I hope this has been helpful, and as long as you remember that the audience cannot tell how nervous you are, but that can tell how much you have planned, how much you have prepared, and how passionate you are about the topic. So if you keep those 3 things in mind, then you'll do great. Thank you for listening.